What's going on? Carlos, Cody, thanks for joining me again today. Quick little intro for those of you that enjoy the podcast, that enjoy the YouTube channel, like what we're doing, enjoy the content. Best thing you can do to support, since we don't have Patreon, we don't have Cash App, we don't have Venmo, none of that shit. Hit that subscribe button.
Coming.
Probably. Hit that subscribe button, like the video or dislike the video. I don't give a shit. None of us give a shit. But yeah, share it. Make fun of it. We don't care. Just promote that content, baby. How you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Dude, Kamala Harris, son. What do you think?
I think I've mentioned this before, but I thought that was going to be the VP pick 2 months ago.
I think we can go back to the archives and see that for sure. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. That's okay.
For real. I think it's interesting. Obviously he committed to a black female, which kind of narrowed the field quite a bit for all the people who were,
literally took out 70% of the population, roughly.
Pretty much.
But
right.
you know what? Like, honestly, I think it's important. Whatever you feel about her personally, as a DA, as a senator, I think it's important that inclusion and representation is happening. I know that there are folks within the minority communities that are a little bit off-put by her as a person, but they are encouraged by the fact that he did follow through and choose a woman of color. And not only that, but whether you don't, like I said, whether you like her or not, she is a very powerful figure and a very name-recognized person. And I honestly can't wait to see her debate a conversion therapy, crazy right-wing vice president. That's going to be my favorite thing. Besides the two invalids who can't finish a thought in a straight line debating, that's going to be a fun drinking game. But watching Kamala Harris eviscerate a guy who believes that electroshock therapy will turn you straight is going to be pretty great.
Yeah. Well, and so I was actually having a conversation with a former coworker of mine yesterday, and he was saying, look at Biden and look at Kamala Harris and their attack on basically black people through A, the 94 crime bill, right? And B, through Kamala Harris's record in the DA's office. But it's she was a DA and attorney general. That was her job, to prosecute people, right? So, and then other than that, look at Trump and Pence's record, right? You got literally Pence was the governor of Indiana who nominated the judge who got convicted of selling poor black kids to the corrections industry. That was Pence who nominated him. So
but it's different, dude. Pence didn't know, man. He wasn't sure. He was too busy making sure that he wasn't alone in rooms with women because he was afraid of what they might say. How's he going to get on stage and have a one-on-one with Kamala Harris when he's afraid to be alone in a room with a woman?
Dude, and not even just that, I think they should put it so it's all women moderators and see how he does. Because, and with COVID right now, they're not going to have crowds of people there, right? Everything's just going to be televised. So I think it'll be interesting to just put him in a room with a bunch of women.
Dude, how great would it be if AOC and Elizabeth Warren were the moderators for that conversation?
Dude, if AOC is, that would be amazing.
Also, shout out to the what do they call themselves? The gang or the four women,
Squad.
the AOC, Ilhan Omar,
I think they're the squad.
Yeah, the squad, for all winning their primaries, right? Even though they got primaried by their own party, which was very interesting because obviously that just kind of goes to show that Democrats aren't so innocent in trying to push their more centrist candidates onto us. But I also think it's a big shout out to the people of those districts for not really falling for all that BS as well. So my coffee is up to you guys.
Nice.
Yeah, it's early in the morning. No coffee for you, Luca?
Oh, dude, I already had my coffee.
Luca's been up for 6 hours, already ran 2
It probably took him 5 hours.
I already ran 10 miles to and from my house, all uphill. did 1,000 burpees. I basically just put David Goggins on repeat with Jocko Willink in the background and just burpees, bro. Burpees all
Dude, are
day.
you gonna become a bodybuilder?
Dude, you guys need to watch the 3-minute video that Jocko Willink has called Good, where he says everything that sucks in your life is actually good because it really is actually good.
Dude, Jocko Williams on Joe Rogan podcast.
Have you seen, Joe Rogan? That was a good Joe Rogan.
Fuck yeah, man.
Well, dude, because I think it goes to show that people want to create a monolith out of veterans, right? Where veterans are all like, nah, man, just give police all that they need. Don't do anything to change. Just give them more money, more money, more money. And he's like, well, yeah, but if you're going to give them more money, they need better training because they're not trained well enough. How is it that I can be in a battlefield where bombs are going off all around me and I can have the presence of mind not to assassinate an innocent versus the police who, like, for whatever you want to say about the police, in a lot of cases, they're doing the best job that they can, but they're also poorly trained in a lot of these situations or not adequately trained over the course of a long period of time. And that was one of the things that he brought up, which I think is very important.
Poorly trained is a good way to put it, man, because right now, how they're training the police is the problem. It's the only thing that could be changed and something could be done about it.
That, and I think qualified immunity, and I know that in some ways, if you get rid of qualified immunity or if you make police start having to pay for their own quote unquote malpractice insurance like doctors do, yeah, that hits their bottom line. But that also means that there's an opportunity for change in a very meaningful way. If your bottom line is not going to be affected by acting poorly, what actual motivation do you have to act differently?
None.
Yeah, you have none. Well, and like you said, if you're not going to be held accountable, then how is your behavior, right, as a police officer going to change if there's no accountability structure and you're being trained in a certain way? It's like, no shit they're acting the way they are because the way the system is, right? They should get training like Jocko said, right? But we also shouldn't be freaking selling them armored APCs, military grade stuff in order to keep the people down either. There's a level of, there are some really, really awesome police officers in the world.
Just
right?
like there's some really bad priests and teachers, like you can find bad apples and good apples in any.
Exactly. Right? But those police officers are the ones who actually like go and connect with the community they are policing. Right? They're in the community. They're stopping their car to play basketball with kids on the street real quick. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Talking to the people, seeing what's going on with them, right? If you know your people, you're less likely to pull your gun. You're able to actually de-escalate like you're trained to, right? Because you have a relationship with these people. It's not just, I'm a police officer, like, I am your God, like, fucking bow to me. You know what I mean? Like, that's the wrong situation. But anyways, should we get back to Kamala Harris? Because that was really what this was supposed to be, right?
No,
well,
totally.
yeah, I mean,
what do you guys think that, like, her position has grown since she was the DA? Because she was seen as the heavy-handed arm of the enforcement side of the legislative system, where she was, like you said, Cody, doing her job. But do you think that she has a more nuanced position now than she did back then regarding the work that she did and the people she put in jail? And do you think that she can rectify it if she and Joe Biden take the office?
So my whole thing is the role has changed, obviously, right? So she went from being a DA and attorney general, where her job was to prosecute for criminal or misdemeanor acts, right, against the state or local governments, blah, 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 et cetera, to now she was making that legislation, right? So if anything, I think it prepares her, being a DA, attorney general, prepares her for a life suited to a legislation, right? Because she knows which laws could be changed to make things a little bit better, which policies can be changed in the criminal justice system to make things more streamlined, right? And to make things more fair.
Yeah.
And I think that, when you're a DA or attorney general, your job isn't necessarily to like interpret the law. That's governor. That's like an executive kind of deal, right? But to just prosecute those crimes as they are, like literally written in the code, right? So now that she's been a senator, and if she's the VP actually has enormous ability to sway and be that tie-breaking vote in the Senate. And so I think that allows her to now see what was wrong as a DA and an attorney general and make changes now in the future as to where we should be going with this. I mean, that's just an opinion of mine, but I think it definitely suits her to be in that position. I also think that, let's be real, I don't know if Biden's making it through a first term. So, in all, if she ends up becoming president, that's okay with me too.
She's going to be a brain in a jar, just like Futurama, dude.
Yeah.
Or he's
I think it's a strong pick as a plan B for the inevitable that Joe Biden is just going to slip further and further down the rabbit hole, not being able to complete sentences. And I think it's a good backup plan in case, and probably will happen. I mean, even with the debates and everything, I think that Kamala Harris is absolutely going to destroy Pence. And I think also that that's probably going to get more viewership than the actual presidential debate.
I don't think so.
I don't know about that.
Really?
I
have a feeling.
Here's what I think. I think that the viewership on that will be heavily partisan. You're going to see pretty much only Democrats watching that debate. But when it comes to the presidential debate, you're going to watch both sides because everyone loves to see a dumpster fire. And between those two, it's going to be a contest as who can throw more gasoline on that fire.
Yeah. I mean, and Trump is already going on, like he is going after Kamala hard already.
Well, what do you think of that? Because the RNC and Trump are kind of on opposite sides of how they're attacking Kamala Harris.
Yeah, there's no like straight edge. See, and I think it's stupid, but it's also brilliant.
You want to know what I think about Trump talking shit about Kamala Harris? This is what I think. Right here. Trump just unveiled his stupid, desperate new nickname for Kamala Harris. Kamala. So the phony businessman with the phony hair, phony tan, phony wife, phony university, phony charity, phony polls, phony hurricane maps, phony COVID cures, says someone else is phony. Yeah. That's what I think about Trump. But the problem is that his base is so deep in his anus that all they're smelling is what he had for breakfast, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So here's the thing. 38% of the country is no doubt going to vote for Trump. Like, just hardcore base, right? He speaks to them and their inner bigotry, right? He allows them to be normalized instead of ostracized in our society.
Which is how they should be. They should be put on a fucking island like lepers and left to fend for themselves.
So, but here's the thing. My whole belief is that these are still people, right? People still have, like, they are citizens of the United States. You gotta let them speak.
Well, they're citizens, yes.
But if anything, just the right to speak and be heard does not mean you have the right to you are correct, right? And we need to be doing more. We have to come together as a community, right? See a video, see some data, and realize that that is fact, like that is reality. Right, and there's nothing different from that reality as far as this, like a certain issue is a certain way, right? And we're just not doing it, right? We're fighting over what is real, and that debate we have fucking flat earthers now. Like, what the fuck?
To be fair, I think we always had flat earthers.
Yeah, we always had them. Now they're just
back then. Wasn't as
regularly as growing now because they're getting more mainstream. The conspiracies are just exploding because everybody thinks that everyone's out to get them. Let me be clear and honest here. The government does not give a fuck about the single individual citizen. does not give a flying rat's ass.
Well, they do want your tax money, but after that, they don't.
Exactly.
That's
Right?
That's where the buck
They
stops.
just want you to keep dumbed down so they can continue doing whatever the hell they want, right? But they don't care about like whether you're allowed to do this. They're not trying to microchip you in vaccines. They're not trying to.
They don't need to, dude. They got satellites that can find you in the middle of Siberia with like within 5 minutes.
You ready?
You have a cell
Here's
phone.
your tracking device.
Everyone has one.
Have you ever connected to Wi-Fi before in your life?
Too.
Guess what? They know where you're at.
It's like, I don't know. So what I
Supporter
hope,
base is
what I
ridiculous
hope
right
from
now.
this election is that, look,
Everything-
I am not a fan of Biden. I've been very vocal about this. I think that the DNC fucked up by
Again,
pushing Biden so hard down everybody's throats, right? But I also think that he's as freaking old, demented grandpa as he is, he's still more likable than Hillary Clinton. And thus gives him an extra little edge here and there, right? The fact that Kamala now joined the ticket, she's younger. She's not like, in
she's
her
actually a
30s
Gen
or
Xer.
40s.
She's not a boomer, which is pretty interesting because like the last 5 presidents outside of Obama and vice presidents, I believe, have all been from the boomer era. So she's at least Gen X.
Yeah. So she's 55. She's younger, right? Biden has been was talking earlier in his campaign about, okay, we need to start passing the torch down to the younger people, right? Because these people, the young people, younger politicians, we need to get them experience so that we can move forward. And honestly, all the old people, this is where it gets back to Luca's, call for term limits, right?
Like, dude, this is not even like a Luca call. This is like 75, 80% of Americans want term limits. The only people that don't know what that means.
Well, and they're the ones in office who want to make rules, right?
I don't count.
So there are the haves and the have-nots, right? The haves are the ones in office. Of course, you're going to want to keep your power. You're not going to vote for a term limit. Like, there's no incentive there, right? There's no incentives to do the right thing because you're getting campaign finance from Coca-Cola and the Koch brothers. You know what I mean? You're getting campaign finance from GE and Boeing and, Lockheed Martin.
Raytheon.
The military industrial complex going. So there's no incentive for you if it's a cash cow and you're a part of the cash cow, why are you going to change it?
No, dude, you're going to milk that cow until it dies.
Fuck yeah. It's like in selfish human interest to do that. So how do we get that changed? There's only literally one way to change it. Like one way, right? It all starts with Citizens United. All of it. All of it starts with Citizens United, right? Because Citizens United opened the floodgates of dark corporate money into American politics.
I was just about to talk about that. Not specifically
So,
Citizens United, but this idea of like super PACs and PACs where you can just funnel money privately, anonymously through these giant communities in order to back a particular candidate that will give you the most bang for your buck.
yeah.
Carlos, I got a question for you. How is it down in Peru right now? When can
Bad.
is it bad?
You're in Peru?
No, I'm asking.
No, I'm from Peru, but yeah, it's pretty bad down there, man. I have family that is still in lockdown and not really doing anything because one, the military is in the streets, still patrolling,
Just
and
like in Italy back in fucking April and May, dude.
but like it's like Peru doesn't fuck around with anything. If they see people outside that they're not supposed to be, they'll fucking hit them and they'll start smacking them and just be like, "Get back to your house."
Oh no.
Yeah,
So
my family's sending me little clips.
So what you're saying is the secret police from the federal government is learning from Peru's military and abducting people and beating them in Portland in the same.
Not abducting, just fucking just smacking them and be like, "Get back home."
Well, hey, at least they're letting them go back home, hopefully without a broken leg, because otherwise it'll be hard for them to walk back home.
Yeah. How are things in Italy?
Mostly back to normal, I would say.
Uh-huh.
People still have to wear their mask when they're going outdoors. I think one of the things we need to remember is that in places like Italy, and I think in a lot of places down in South America, Brazil, most notably, India, which is not South America, but generally speaking. In a lot of those countries, you have multi-generational households. Like here in America, it's pretty uncommon for you to live with not just your parents, but also your grandparents, where that's way more common in those other places. So that's why you see places getting hit so hard in Italy, currently in India, and in Brazil, because you have those multi-generational households. So, but things are mostly back to normal. My family, for the most part, I mean, just about everybody, as far as I know, is doing well. Yeah, I'm honestly just waiting for the lift to happen so I can head out there and start scoping out land. Did I send you guys the link of this like Don Corleone fucking mansion on an acre and a dude? I'm telling you, Cody. Dude, this place,
incredible.
It's $160K US dollars with about 25K of investment. So we're talking about under 200K. You're talking an acre and a half, 5-bedroom, 2-bath, like giant columns like you'd see in like traditional Roman architecture and Greek architecture, just sitting on this hill. You're like 20 minutes away from the water. You're just the king. You're the king of your castle, man. So I'm seriously, one of these days, as soon as this shit gets lifted and my US passport is valid everywhere else, I'm going to fly there. I'm going to scope these places out, and then I'm just going to buy it. And then I'm going to start building little like houses on there so like all my friends can come out and live there for months and months. It'll be like a commune, dude. I don't give a fuck.
Dude, speaking of
garden, nice.
Hear about Uber?
Yeah, they're suspending activity in California.
Yeah, that's kind of a big blow.
What's suspending?
Not even just for the workers, but the people who rely on Uber to, for transportation.
So I think it had. I gotta actually now I gotta look this up because I'm not sure exactly what. I want to say that's something to do with the employment status, where.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, because now you guys are employees and not personal contractors.
Yeah, hold on, let me.
Mm-hmm. So they have to pay employment insurance and all this like jazz. And so they don't want to pay that. They're trying to figure out a loophole before they reenact.
I mean, things were already pretty bad for people who were full-time Uber drivers doing 10, 12 hours. And now to just not even have that.
Yeah, here it is right here, actually. So there's a bunch of sources that say the same thing, but the key points, Uber will shut down for a few months in California if the court does not overturn a key ruling, classifying drivers as full-time employers. Uber and Lyft both have about a week to appeal. If the appeal doesn't work out for Uber, it will bank on voters to determine its fate. So here's the thing about it, like me personally, because I was an Uber driver for some time, I understand both sides to this. Like I personally, when I was an Uber driver and I was making decent money, I did not want to be a full-time employee. I wanted to be able to work how I wanted, when I wanted, and have the flexibility to do what I wanted. Mm-hmm. However, that being said, I totally understand the mindset. Hey, if I'm working 40 hours a week, if I'm doing all this work, I want to be paid and I want to have some benefits, whether that's health insurance or whatever. So I completely understand and I empathize with the drivers more so than the company, because as a driver, the company kept lowering not their fees, but the cost per ride while still taking the same, if not a higher percentage over time. So not only were we making less per ride, but we were also paying more to Uber per ride. So in some ways, I feel like this is just a comeuppance where Uber will have to somehow find a way to give employees some decent benefits while also allowing them to remain independent contractors, because that's the only way.
Yeah. So
that's going to work.
As a status as an independent contractor, Uber can take less legal liability on, and thus save money that way, right? Mm-hmm. If you start categorizing Uber drivers as full-time employees, now A, you have to pay benefits, but B, you have to pay more insurance. And so it kind of fucks with their business model as far as, being able to provide rides, right? Which is kind of why, like, you had taxi cabs and whatnot, right? The taxi cab companies had insurance. They had, people driving their cars, right? You had full-time cabbie employees, right? Most of them have benefits, especially those who were tenured, right? And so that's why their cab fares were a little bit more expensive than Uber, and how Uber was able to push them out of the market, right? Now you're telling Uber that, no, you guys have to operate like a cab company, and it makes them less competitive. So that's where Uber's coming from, that Uber standpoint. I lean towards helping the people instead of corporations just in general, but I do understand Uber's side as far as, you know, how are they going to be able to compete now? And what does this do as far as they've already pushed a lot of cab companies out, except for maybe like New York City, where like, you know, the actual city said like, nah, fuck that Uber. Like, we're still keeping with our cabs.
Same thing
right?
in Vegas. Vegas still has a pretty decent
In
cab.
Vegas, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a few cities that still have pretty entrenched cab systems, right? Besides that, though, like, you're in the Bay Area, right? How, if you don't have a car, like, how are you going to get around? Like, how are you going to, if you're in LA, you don't have a car, how are you going to get around? Uber provided that, right? Obviously, there's some public transit in those areas, but like,
Dude,
being able to call an Uber.
Try taking public transit to either of the airports in less than an hour. Good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna almost
It's a
cost you as much anyways. Like it's like
money,
it's like
and
$10 to take the train to Millbrae, and then it's like another $5 to take the fucking BART to the airport. So it's like $10-15 versus like $25-30. Like fuck that. I'd rather just take
Get there in under half an hour. Yeah, man. It's
not sit in someone else's parts.
How many people rely on it for day to day just to go to work, man? Before, like 5 years ago, I used to take Uber every single day to get to work, just because of one, convenience, and two, bus schedules. They run every 30 minutes to an hour, and you can't even be sure that they're going to show up on time, or the bus just never made it. I've had so many instances waiting for the bus where it's just like, that one's not going to come, you have to wait another 30 minutes to an hour. And those people who, if Uber does shut down, they're fucked.
You want to see something funny? So I just got a reminder. I don't know if you can see it. Prop 22. That's the independent drivers. They're they want to schedule me in their phone call, and I haven't like driven for Uber in like 6 months. I'm gonna get on the phone and be like, "Hey Uber, fuck you, dude. Stop paying your executives so much and give it to fucking your employees through insurance or something."
Yeah. Well, and then that's the other thing why I'm like more of a like for the people instead of corporations. Mm-hmm. Dude, executive pay has gone up like 300% in the last decade, whereas normal average worker rate like payment has like stagnated, if not gone down.
You want to know how far back you can track that? Since the 1970s, you can see this massive increase in wealth. And by wealth, I don't mean overall among most Americans. What I mean is businesses, corporations, and the richest people since like 1972, 73, their graph just goes up like this in relation to the GDP, whereas the median income among people who are not wealthy is like this.
Yeah.
You know?
So, and that's them trying to make money for their investors, right? But here's the thing is stop paying there's no way that an executive should make more than maybe like 1 or 2 million a year. Like, and I'm talking about CEO. Even if the man at the top.
Even if you want to go further, dude, at a certain point, like if you make over $1 billion, like if all the people that made over $1 billion, if all the people that made over $10 billion took all that money and reinvested it into the world in general, there'd be no homeless people. Everyone would probably have a house. Everyone would have health insurance.
They say it would take 20 billion to end world hunger.
Dude, even if it's 100 billion, Bezos is worth $150 billion.
Yeah. Jeff Bezos could.
But what do you think?
A lot of
this
stuff.
Is what Bill Gates is trying to do with his foundation too. And yet everyone's like, "Oh, he's trying to microchip us."
He's trying to microchip people and kill.
Trying to microchip us.
First of all, he also is a Satanist who eats the umbilical cord of fetuses. I don't know if you knew that, but you need to watch.
That's where he gets his power.
The Fall of the Ball, bros. Did you watch that yet, Carlos?
I started the first episode, but I gotta get through it, man.
Wait, what is this?
We got to do it. We got to do a review on this, but there's this 10-part miniseries from actually, and look, in all due respect, the person who produced it is an award-winning documentary journalist from Denmark, but I think in some ways she's brought up some great points. Like, how is it that so many people that go to Haiti during the disappearing kids of the Bill Clinton era, how is it possible that so many people that went down there to investigate these problems all suddenly end up with 2 bullets in the back of their head and they call it suicide? So in some ways, my eyebrows are raised and my interest is piqued. But when I hear her saying things specifically like Donald Trump wants to save the children, and I'm like, bro, do you realize who you're talking about? Like, this dude had charges brought against him by the district attorney of Florida, among him and Epstein, by a 14-year-old Spanish girl. And that's not to mention all
13.
13.
And in the court documents, they're literally conversations Epstein and Trump had fighting over this 13-year-old Hispanic girl's virginity. Fucking insane.
But that's the thing. Like, dude, it's so easy to find things that sound good and to make a nice video and loosely tie things together in such a way that people that are already impressionable are immediately drawn into it. And they don't even stop to think. Like, for example, in that first episode or second episode, she says Donald Trump wants to make January Human Trafficking Awareness Month. Like, it was his idea. First of all, it's been in place before Trump came into office. And let's not forget that this is the same guy that said when they were proven innocent or before they were proven guilty that the Central Park Five, all kids that were accused of raping someone who they did not rape should go to jail forever and should be executed. Like, this is the same guy that you're saying now wants to save the children. Get the fuck out of here.
It's picking and choosing. That's what it is. It's picking and choosing what facts they want to present. And I think that there needs to be a level of like ethics and accountability with people who do documentaries, and I'm including Michael Moore in this as well. Now,
dude, you can include journalists in it too, man, because
journalists are already included in libel and slander laws, right? Because they're producers of what's called news, right? So news has to be true, technically, right? Doesn't mean that news can't be like framed a certain way, right or left, right? But it needs to be true, right? Whereas a documentary producer, right? You can have like a fake documentary. I mean, shit. There's the Blair Witch Project, right? It's a movie, but it's like filmed as a documentary, right? Of them going out in the woods to find the Blair Witch.
But I think the difference in that is that
there's no difference on the legal end.
To be fair though, like, they're not going out there slandering someone who they claim is the Blair Witch. Like, they're going out there and making a fucking Paranormal Activity style movie, or Paranormal Activity made a Blair Witch style movie. But dude, I do think that you can still be sued or for slander, even if you make a documentary, because if you're presenting information as true when it's false, like, someone can go after you.
That's what happened with the Citizens United thing, and they ruled against it. Again, bringing everything back to Citizens United. Citizens United was based off of a documentary that was filmed about Hillary Clinton during the 2008 campaign, right? And they basically, because it was the money for the documentary, the film was given by corporations, by this and that, because they wanted to basically slander Hillary Clinton, right? And so the whole case was that someone brought the case saying that, well, no, wait, you can't do this because of the laws we have on the books, right? Well, the Supreme Court said, oh, those laws are unconstitutional. Now it just opens up the floodgates, right? This, again, everything kind of hits back to that 2008 Citizens United ruling. And if you really think about it, I mean, okay, George W. Bush was like the first, like, kind of whack job, like, dude believe the earth was made in 7 days, didn't believe in evolution type shit, right? Even his dad, right, George H.W., as a Republican, was still level-headed. Like, wanting to help people, wanting to, you know what I mean? You go back to Reagan, I might not agree with his policies, but the guy wanted to help people. You could generally tell, right? He might have had like Iran-Contra, scandals and all that stuff. But like, there's a bunch of presidents who have scandals. Anything that they do wrong is now a scandal, right? So what I'm saying though is like, when you go to like, let's say Clinton had a scandal, obviously getting head in the White House.
There are several scandals.
But
You
that
can even
didn't
include the
make
whole
him a
Haiti
bad
project as one of his major
president.
scandals too, man.
That didn't make him a bad president on policy, right? The one thing that Clinton did he signed that was bad was signing the repealing of Glass-Steagall, which set everything up for the 2008 collapse, which another one is coming, I guarantee you, because they're doing the same shit. No one went to jail, right? No new laws were made. They're running the same game again, right? They're just calling it different stuff.
This is why we have to hashtag eat the rich, eat the powerful. It's time for the ants to overthrow the grasshoppers, my friends.
Here's the thing: if I was voting in my best interest on everything, I would be a Trump Republican style guy, right? But here's the thing: I'm one in a few that say, hey, it is in my best interest to help others, because the more people who have disposable income, the more products they buy, the more the capitalist machine keeps moving, and the more money I make. So I don't understand why the Republicans at the top, can't understand that. Like, just can't get it through their thick skulls that when everyone does better, when we have a strong middle class, right, everything gets better for everybody. You know what I mean? Strong middle class then creates a stronger lower class, more disposable income, more products bought, the economy keeps growing. Literally, Glass-Steagall, when it was implemented after the Great Depression until it was repealed in 1999, right? We literally had 60 years of straight up growth, just going up. But it was regulated, so it wasn't like, woo, boom. You know what I mean? It wasn't like up and down and volatile. It was just a nice, steady growth. And everyone did better, right? Everyone wants to get on socialist policies of Bernie and everything like that. What do you think the New Deal was? It was all socialist policies, right? Trump's wanting to defund Social Security. Are you fucking serious? Do you understand the economic impacts of taking away seniors' only form of income? There is no way that wouldn't just destroy our economy. I don't understand why he wants to do that too, because that's most of his base. But again, we're doing things that aren't in our best interest because it's corporate interest.
The problem is that instead of playing the long term, he's banking on the short term. And in essence, it's that old axiom, trying to see the forest through the trees, right? Where all you can see are the trees, but you don't really understand the great scope of the forest. He's too busy trying to garner votes right now, which, I mean, let's be real. That's what politics is. It's all about trying to get elected right now, not worrying about what's going to happen in 20 years, 30 years when you're dead. That's not their prerogative, but it's unfortunate that we are in this situation, because there's not much that it seems like we can do other than just pure unadulterated revolt and burning it down from top to bottom.
Well, according to Trump, he has the suburban woman's vote locked in.
Yeah, I mean, if by suburban women he means upper middle class who are racist, then yes.
Yes, I think his exact word.
Middle class white women, yes, without a doubt.
Yeah,
without a doubt, he's got that, because those basically they're bored housewives that don't know what the fuck is going on.
Well, anyway. that was his thing.
Let's not throw pejoratives around like that, man. I mean, they could just be misinformed or ill-informed, but to be fair, he's not wrong in that respect.
Sort of.
Ish.
I mean, he even said that he didn't want low-income housing to invade the neighborhoods.
Dude, I'm gonna let you share that because you need to share that. People need to see that shit.
Yeah, but give us that whole thing, Carlos.
Because that was eye-opening that he said that. Let me see if I can find it.
It's true though. No, I saw the same thing, but when you find it, just go ahead and share your screen. But he's doing exactly what he's been doing. He is placating to his base. And the problem that I see personally is that the Democratic Party, from its centrist folks to its far, far left folks, are so fractured and are so disillusioned that I'm not sure they will coalesce to form a large enough cohort to vote them out, especially if 100 million people who didn't vote in this last election aren't voting in this election.
Well, and that also brings to the point the whole mail-in ballot system. You know what I mean? Okay, so in 2016, hold on, I'll let you share this in a second. In 2016, there are 357 cases, just 357 cases of voter fraud via mail-in ballots in the United States. 357 out of 68 fucking million.
Dude, even on a more microcosmic level, in Portland, so the Heritage Foundation, which I'm sure you're familiar with, Cody, but the Heritage Foundation is a right-wing think tank. Their entire platform exists to admonish illegal immigrants, which on stolen land is anything illegal, but that's another discussion for another time. That's their entire prerogative, is to tout right-wing, right-center talking points. And they did a study in Portland since Portland started, or Oregon, maybe it was in the entire state of Oregon, but since 1997 or 98, somewhere in the late 90s, they started recording all the instances of actual mail voter fraud. In over 15 million cases, they found 14. So I don't know if you can do the math, but that is 0.0000001%.
Yeah. But yeah, so this is the tweet, and the exact words is about the suburban housewife is they want safety and are thrilled that I ended the long-running program where low-income housing would invade their neighborhood.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting that like low-income housing in a neighborhood is considered an invasion.
An invasion,
But federal agents storming your streets and abducting people is not.
So here's the other thing you guys need to understand about the East Coast. Me being someone that I would consider myself bi-coastal, seeing as I spent plenty of time on the East Coast, let me be real with y'all. There are a lot of people on the East Coast who are like New England, so like you're talking New Jersey, and then up through New York and into, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, and Maine, that are pretty libertarian. And by libertarian, I mean on social issues are pretty relaxed, but fiscal issues, they're starchy.
They want tiny big government. They want states to run everything.
Yeah, exactly. They're elitist, right?
But they're like financial elitists because they don't care if you want to be gay, basically, or if you want to have multiple partners or whatever.
Exactly.
They don't really care too much about that. They believe in individual freedom.
They don't want their taxes to be raised. Do you know what I mean? They're very much like that. Now, this kind of creates a system where, you have places like Bridgeport, Connecticut, which are like vastly like minority, and other like pockets, Newark, New Jersey, right? Certain areas of New York, certain areas of Connecticut, like Willimantic area and Bridgeport, certain areas of like Boston and Massachusetts, right? That are very much liberal because the district is vastly made up of minorities. And so because of those districts, they tend to vote Democrat, right? And they also don't let always their fiscal needs overtake their needs for social justice, social like liberties. And so you'll find that they tend to vote Democrat, but they also still hold those, like Trump will get votes in those areas. I promise.
Dude, I mean, honestly, and I can say this for sure. I think people need to realize that a lot of the middle or upper middle and, you know, higher end classes in the Bay Area and in places like San Diego County are not that different, because a lot of them are what I would call faux progressives, because they're over here talking about how much they love the idea of, you know, people getting ahead and people moving up in the world and helping, you know, groups that are more disenfranchised. However, the same thing happened in San Francisco. The mayor wanted to build a low-income housing situation in North Beach, and the homeowners association said, no, you're going to lower property value here. How can you claim to be so progressive when you are allowing that sort of thinking to invade and permeate your neighborhood? Now, I understand.
Well, they want to help the problem,
but they don't want to help it.
They don't want to give up their own stuff to help the problem.
That's what I mean. They want to help the problem, but they want someone else to do it. Like, they don't want to put their money where their mouth is. They just want to parrot, hey, I'm progressive. Look at me. Like, I vote for equal rights and this and that. Oh, you want to put a low-income housing unit down the street from me? Ooh, see, that's where I draw the line. Like, nah, dude.
I want to help, but not help.
Yeah, I want to help, but I want to help from over here. Like, you help over there, I'm going to stay over here.
This is my nice neighborhood. Do that to other neighborhoods. I agree, but not this one.
Yeah, basically. I mean, what do you think Orange County is?
Well,
Orange County is the biggest pocket of Republicans in the United States. And it's because they want to keep their up and up. They want to keep that like super nice high property values. They want to basically exclude people from living in those areas because they don't want to have to deal with it on a daily basis, right? Now, the other thing is, and I might sound a little bit fucking weird on this, is we shouldn't be decreasing property value, right, by putting low-income housing in those areas, but it's like a need, right? I don't want to have property values decrease, but we need to do something in order to help get these people up, right? Education is another thing. You know, you look at the education system and what Betsy DeVos is trying to do. She's basically trying to privatize public education and via charter schools. And now I work for a charter school, so I guess this is a little bit weird, but like when you have the privatization of public education, right, now you're paying, just like we were talking about CEOs and executives, you're going to be paying those executives, those board members, those principals, right, more money in order to, you know, in order to take them away from the public school system, right? Because public school systems, right, you're going to pay your normal teacher less, and you're going to pay your executives more in the charter school system, right? Because you want to intrigue those administrators to come over.
I think at the end of the day, we just got to do more to help these communities, man. And I mean, yeah, maybe in some ways we don't want to lower property values in certain places, but at the end of the day, in the long term, the property value will eventually reach where it was and probably exceed it, because that's just the nature of the world, right? As more people become born and less people die, value
increase because there's less property to have.
Exactly. There's only a finite amount of Earth.
And we're losing it because of rising sea levels.
Whoa, dude. That's a Chinese conspiracy, dude. Don't you dare.
The Earth is flat.
The Earth is flat. You
water
can
level
sail
can't
up the edge. I've definitely
the thing.
Dude. Don't you dare, Cody. How dare you? Guys, this was glorious. I know, Cody, you got a dip soon. Carlos, appreciate you sharing that article because I couldn't find it. Let's do this again soon, guys. I would encourage you to watch all 10 parts of The Fall of Cabal, and let's have a delightful dissection.
Where can I find Fall of Cabal?
YouTube.
Dude, just literally The Fall of Cabal. Just type it on YouTube. It's a 10-part series. It's probably about 3 hours. again, in fairness, some of the points are totally valid. Like, how do you commit suicide? Shooting yourself in the back of the head. That's pretty, you know.
Interesting
So,
way.
yeah, it's an interesting way to go.
Here.
Yeah. So there are definitely some points that are made that I'm like, okay, I totally see where you're coming from. But then there are some things that are just so wrong because all you have to do is use this thing called Google or open a book or have a brain and you'll know that that's wrong. Right. So it's really interesting though. I did learn quite a bit. And also, fuck you, Trump. How dare you wish Ghislaine Maxwell good luck or best wishes? Like,
Dude,
I mean, I know that she has all the information on you personally, Mr. Trump, but I hope she releases all of it. I want everyone to go down. I don't care who it is. If Obama's involved, very highly unlikely. But if he was involved, take him down. If Hillary and the Clintons are involved, take them all down. Trump, take them all down. I don't care. We need to eat the rich, eat the powerful.
you think she's gonna be moved to Gen Pop?
No, I think she's going to be moved 6 feet under is where I think she's going to be.
Because she said that jail is kind of bad right now, and she wants to be moved to general population.
I think she's going to be moved to worm food.
If she goes there. Oh, yeah. I just want her to give all the evidence up first.
For real.
If she were smart, she would try and get the best deal that she can, but while also sending all of her documents to like 1,000 different journalists worldwide and saying, hey, if I die before I get a deal, release all this shit. I'm surprised that Epstein didn't do that, to be honest. But maybe Ghislaine was the keeper of all that shit. I'm curious, dude. I want to see it. And whatever weird, quote unquote, satanic pedophile ring that exists, which is just, anyways, whatever pedophile ring exists, I'm not going to call it a Satanist movement, but I want to see who's involved, and I want everyone to burn.
Yeah.
For real.
That's what I want from all this. It's just the truth and people to be brought to justice.
For real.
Justice for all, man. Justice for all, and bring people up who need help the most, man. A rising tide lifts all boats, but you got to plug up the hole in all the other boats or they're going to sink no matter how high the tide gets. And with global warming, it's just getting higher.
For real. All right, guys. I'll see y'all later.
All right, guys.
Take care, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us. Have a good one.